absent tonight.
Legal notice, Enfield Zoning Board of Appeals. The Enfield Zoning Board of Appeals will hold public hearings on Monday, September 28th, 2015, at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of Town Hall, first floor, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut.
Your roll call.
Oh.
You're too far ahead of yourself.
Okay. Well, I thought you told me to read the legal notice, so.
No, I was,
Okay.
go ahead.
The roll call? All right. Peter Yarum,
Present.
Maurice LaRosa,
Here.
Marianne Turner, Charlie Mastroberti, Andrew Urbanowitz is here, Lynn Skull,
Here.
James Bailey Brislin, Bob Gillespie.
Okay, and before you proceed, well, let me get through these things. For the members or member of our audience, in the event of a fire, two means of egress from the chambers: out the doors to your right, take the first left, down the stairwell, and out into the parking lot, or to the rear of the chambers, out the double doors, onto a landing, down the steps, out onto the town green. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We should do my country tis of thee.
And for the record, as previously mentioned, Mary Ann Turner is absent tonight. She has requested in writing that Lynn Skull be seated as a regular member, and Andrew Urbanowitz will be recording secretary. Okay, Andrew, public hearings, please.
Now it's time for the notice. Okay. The Enfield Zoning Board of Appeals will hold public hearings on Monday, September 28th, 2015, at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of Town Hall, first floor, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following: ZBA 2015-0901, Loaves and Fishes, applicant owner of 28 Prospect Street, zoned R33, map 24, lot 28, requesting variance to install an 8-foot fence in a residential zone, section 3.30.6, dated the 16th day of September 2015, Mary Ann Turner, secretary, published in the Journal Enquirer, September 16th, 2015, and September 24th, 2015.
Now, I apologize, the last time we had a meeting was in June, so I'm a little foggy. I forgot to say to the applicant, our procedure tonight for business will be the secretary read your legal notice. You'll be asked to come before the board, have a seat, present your name and address. You have an opportunity to present your application. The board may or may not have questions. I would also give, if there was anyone else in the audience, I would give them an opportunity to speak in favor or against your application. But since no one's there, that doesn't appear is going to happen. Additional information that you may have that we may not have received in our packets can only be reviewed by the board while the public hearing is open. Once it's closed, we will not accept any additional information for review. And comments made by the public that are not relevant to the exercise of the Commission's statutory or regulatory authority will not be considered by the Commission in reaching its decision. Once your application's been presented, most likely we're going to vote on it tonight, so you'll know where you stand. And for the record, a variance can be granted where such grant will not affect the overall purpose of the zoning ordinance, and where strict interpretation of the ordinance will result in a hardship. A hardship exists where the zoning ordinance uniquely affects a parcel of land differently from other properties, where use of the property or reasonable use of the land would be impossible without the variance. Self-imposed or financial hardships cannot by law be considered as a reason for granting a variance. And one more piece of information for you. In order for your application to be approved, you need four votes in your favor. Normally, we have 5 members voting. You can put your application off until our next regular meeting, which will be the end of October. the last Monday in October, where most likely we will have 5 members voting, or you can proceed tonight and see if you can get all 4 of us to vote in your favor.
Proceed to.
Okay. Then please step forward.
Good evening. My name's Tom Arnone, 5 Cartier Road. I'm also a board member on Loaves and Fishes, so that's why I'm here representing them tonight. And I do have just a couple photographs, if
Okay.
I could submit, to make it a little easier to actually see other than the drawn picture.
Thank you.
Andrew, you want to just give a quick description of what you have in your hand?
We have 2 photographs of the church building where the Loaves and Fishes is located. One of them shows existing fencing, and the other appears to show an alley to the side of the building.
Thank you. All set.
Okay?
Okay.
Questions, or would you
No,
like me just to
present
give
your
you a little?
application and
Okay. So
see if
what-
we can follow along.
Yeah, what we'd like to do is replace the chain link fence that you see in the picture that is probably a third of the property, and replace it with the ornamental steel fence. We also have a problem on that alleyway that you see in that picture with people just cutting through all the time, trying to get over to Cottage Green. So for years, they've been saving for this project, we've dealt with an unbelievable amount of traffic through the side of between the Orrin Thompson house and the church. So what happens there also is there's been drug problems there. We've actually had an OD at one point in that corner. It's a very security. We put up cameras did no good. So we need to really put a fence up there. When we discussed this, we were going to put just the chain link with the barbed wire fence back up the way it is basically now. But we felt that it didn't really fit in with the community because of that barbed wire end of it. Because we can't have it climbable. So we went with the steel fence that is more of a designer fence. It looks better. It's a prettier fence. The only problem was the 6-foot fence is really scalable, and it's easy to climb that 6-foot fence without the barbed wire on top. So we decided to ask for that variance to an 8-foot fence, just so it's not scalable. People can't get over it. Adds a little more security. We went with the steel fence also instead of the aluminum because of security issues there too. Because we know people are not going to be happy not cutting through the alleyway any longer. So we want to make sure it's sturdy. It looks good. It has that curb appeal we'd like to see, and with revitalization in that area, we think this is a really beautiful ornamental fence that should make up just in sight what the barbed wire and chain link, as you can see in those pictures, looks terrible. And we'd like not to go back to that cold barbed wire look.
Questions of the board?
First of all, your barbed wire is scalable because it's going in the wrong direction.
And it's also falling apart, if you can see.
I see that too.
Yes, which was another issue because the barbed wire would end up hanging over Thompson Court the way it was. I think that's why they originally did it the way they did it, because there's very little space between Thompson Court, and that's a very narrow
But
street.
it just makes the fence scalable having it that way.
Yeah.
What I'm looking for is the hardship. What is the property doing that we need to change the regulation for you, or allow you to change the regulation? I understand the problem with people cutting through and the problem with drugs in an area. But those, it may not always be that way, and hopefully the cops are, if you see activity like that, it's being reported, and cops are doing what they need to do to clean that up. But in order for our board to grant a variance, which gives you permission to violate the regulation, we need to have a hardship. And it has to be something that's your property's causing you.
Right, and again, we feel the property is causing us this nuisance area between the Oren house and the church. It's a very dark alley. It's a very dangerous alley, and we want to close it off, and we want to secure it for the good of that area in the long run. Again, we've had numerous over the years problems with drug dealing, and there has been an OD there, regardless of reporting to the police, which we do all the time. We even have some of the walking officers stop by once a day in that area. It still happens. It's a very busy area back to Cottage Green, and that's been just the big sore spot in that whole property is that alleyway. And actually, the fence is really that's the most of the new fence is the alleyway. That's where we're not going around the whole property. We're just trying to seal off that courtyard in the back where the existing fence is. So there's still the rest of the property is open, except for trying to get that courtyard sealed and secure.
Without the barbed wire, how high is the existing chain link fence?
It's a 6 foot, I believe, regular stock chain link. And then the barbed wire does put that extra foot on it, but it's on an angle, so it'd be less than that, I'm sure. But it's an aesthetics thing, and we felt that also would add to the property values around the area. And again, it's a historic church. The fence itself fits in well with the character of the church and the character of the Orrin Thompson house next door.
Andrew?
Well, the question that comes to my mind is, what if the police did need to climb this? I mean, the reason that we have the 6 foot height, especially in a tight residential district like this, is that if there is an emergency that they could possibly get over it. So have you guys run this by the police? Or?
No, we haven't. But a scalable 6 foot fence with barbed wire, I don't know that, how many police would be charging over that either. They do have, it'll have a double gate in the front, a very wide, nice steel ornamental double gate with a lock. So they'll just use the universal key and just cut that bolt cutters and be able to get through that way. They can cut the lock. We're not. That's one thing I failed to tell you also. There'll be 2 gates. There'll be one gate on the back where the fence is, and there'll be a front gate in the front of the property, all with just a padlock on them or a lock on both. So they will be easily entered by either fire or police with just bolt cutters.
Okay.
Lynn?
Mo asked my questions about hardship. That was, when I went through the application, that was my biggest question, is what is the physical land hardship? So,
Have you considered any type of surveillance or security cameras or?
We presently do have security cameras there, but they're pretty much ignored. And it's a very dark alley, so it's hard to get all the corners and cracks covered by a surveillance camera. And
What about additional lighting?
additional
Motion
lighting
sensors
is
or something.
we do have a couple spotlights out back there, and of course they could always be intensified. Really, regardless of what happens tonight, if we have to come back, if we have to do a 6-foot chain link fence with barbed wire, that's what we're going to do. We just felt that this would be aesthetically pleasing in the area, and the height is just an added security end of it to save that problem of the alleyway entry. Otherwise, we just hated to put that cold steel back up again with, we actually saved a little harder, and we actually got a grant to help us spend the extra money to get the ornamental fence in place.
What about an ornamental 6-foot fence? I mean, this looks like
yeah.
a pretty aggressive fence.
It is.
Where I'm not sure how many people are going to scale a 6-foot fence that looks like this.
And
I mean, if they get up there and they get stuck,
Yeah.
they're going to the hospital.
I've only been on the board a short
So it
time.
is.
Yes, and Priscilla, our director, has been doing this now for well over somewhere around 30 years. She knows everything and everybody down there, and that was just a thing with her that 6-foot scalable is not much to a lot of kids today, and. This is, if you look at the property of Mass Mutual, they have this fence similar to this, other than they have the bent over rails at the top. We're just going to go straight up. And it is a beautiful fence. The 2 feet, and I drive by it every day on Brandon Road on my way home from work, and that's where we kind of got the idea of this kind of ornamental fence that it just looks beautiful on top of it. And we like I say, we just hate to go to the back to barbed wire, and we actually saved the extra money to try to help with the revitalization efforts downtown.
Well, I agree. It's the ornamental fence is a much more decorative and aesthetic looking fence. But I think if kids want to get in there, whether it's 6 feet or 8 feet, they're going to get in. And if one kid can't scale it himself, he's going to get a buddy to help him over it. And as Mr. LaRosa stated previously, the hardship has to be with the property. Your property has to be unique compared to everybody else in that same area.
Well, it is very unique, actually. It's extremely unique. It's a church, for one. It's a church and a rectory. It's a soup kitchen, too. It's a very small footprint. It's on, backs up 2 roads, which is Thompson Court, along with Prospect in the front. Our next neighbor, it's unique with having 2 historic places, a historic church and Warren Thompson's historic house next to it. The church itself was built by the Thompsons for his family. It's very forgive me on the exact date, but late 1800s church was built. So it's a very unique property for that area. And the only other unique properties are a little bit down the street. You go three doors down and have the town building and grounds, and then Kelly Fredette. So that area is very unique, and especially with the footprint. Our building is right on the property line on the other side, so there's just a fence there, and there's no way to egress to the back. And then there's this alleyway that has always been the issue, and it's a dark alleyway with another picket fence on the side. So that's and it's also horribly steeped at the other end, where we just put in a shed some years ago. We were before you with a shed on a Boy Scout project, and it's a very small property to do what we're doing on it. And that's the only grassed area other than the front that we have for a courtyard where people can come in and actually have their dinners outside instead of being indoors. So, again, we in the access to that route, because our property is used as a pathway, is itself, and if you could sit there and see, and every single contractor we had from fences that watched people walk through this area they could not believe it. I mean, it was constant during the day. Everyone that comes out from Pearl Street down, they're walking straight through and out to Cottage Green. I believe every single resident in Cottage Green cuts through that property. And you can see in the picture the terrible erosion that's happening on that area, which also, when the water comes off of Prospect Street, and it just pours down that alleyway, and because of the foot traffic, it's eroded incredibly, and it's just a whole mud slick that goes through there. And the biggest thing here is our liability with people walking through here. Slip, fall during the winter. We don't plow it. We don't shovel it. So people still cut through there. It's an ice slick. It is literally gets 4 inches of ice all the way through, and people just keep constantly cutting through there, and it's dangerous. Not only to our, to a liability for loaves and fishes, but it's just a liability to people getting hurt.
But they're walking through right now because there's openings.
It's open.
You're not seeing anybody through the whole day. You're not seeing 15, 20 people scaling a fence.
No, absolutely not.
If you put a 6-foot decorative fence around it and you close up all your gaps and just put gates there, then there's no openings to just clearly walk through. And again, I'm not sure I see, even a 6-foot fence like this, I'm not sure I see a whole lot of people trying to scale that.
And if that's that's your
I just have to
opinion on that.
justify why I'm going to grant a variance.
That's not a problem. You have to do what you have to do.
Okay. Further questions?
I don't have any.
Lynn?
No, thank you.
I got nothing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So as there's no one else in the audience to speak in favor or against, this public hearing is hereby closed. Sean, do you just want to make a few notes? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion made by Mo. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Andrew. Discussion.
I think we really have to look at this because there's a couple of things that stick out in my mind. And that, the first one is I don't see a hardship. The second one, as Mr. Arnone pointed out, we also have to look at the variance that we granted back in 2011. We granted a variance to this property. It's very difficult, and we're actually told not to take a non-conforming property and make it more non-conforming. So you really aren't supposed to start stacking up variances. I'm not opposed to doing it if there's a real need for it. I'm just not seeing the need for it.
Andrew?
Yeah, I agree with what Maurice has put forward here.
I mean, I give him credit. I mean, it's a beautiful fence, and I feel the 6-foot fence would do him justice. We have to look at the fact that, their hardship now, what they consider their hardship now is not the property, and in 10 years could go away.
Right. We
I
don't
mean,
know.
it's not a land problem, it's a people problem.
Yeah.
And that's not something our board usually will variance
I don't
something
necessarily
for.
think it's a zoning problem
Right.
as much as it's a
Law
police
enforcement,
problem.
right, law enforcement problem.
Okay. All those in favor of approving this application, please signify by raising your hand. All those opposed, motion is denied, 0-4-0. And for the record, Mo, reason?
No land hardship found.
Want to elaborate?
The problem
Law
stated,
enforcement.
yeah, the problem stated is a law enforcement problem, it's not a zoning problem.
Okay. Got all that? Old business. Anybody have any old business? Sean, any old business? Any new business? Okay, in your packets
business, huh?
from our last meeting, you have the minutes of June 29th, 2015 regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Made by Mo. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Andrew. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Motion's approved, 4-0-0. Any other correspondence, Sean, anything? Okay, any other business?
We'll be looking at something hopefully from the attorney in November, December.
On Crocker?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're doing court November 10th.
Yep. The only thing I'd like to mention is there's a number of board members whose term will expire December 31st of this year. if you wish to seek reappointment or the opportunity for reappointment, you need to get your applications into the town council prior to the beginning of December. Okay, and there's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members.
I think I'm good for a couple of years, right?
Yeah. You wanna know who they are? Okay, James Bailey Brislin expires this year. Bob Gillespie expires. Mo, you're good until 2017. Charlie expires this year. Lynn, you're good till 2017.
Oh, good.
Mary Ann expires this year. Andrew, you're good to 2017. And I expire this year.
Get your paperwork in.
So 5 members. Get your applications into the town council. Sean, you should have those applications. Yeah, they're somewhere around, so if you could have those available. Any other business?
Motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn. So by Mo,
Second.
second by Lynn. All in favor? We are adjourned.
We even beat my 8 o'clock